Hi everyone, and welcome to Squirrel Pie Productions, my podcast about knitting, spinning, and sewing. My name is Tommi, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Dynamite Trujillo. Welcome to episode 59 of my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to any new viewers, and a big welcome back to any returning viewers. Today is a really nice and bright and sunny Friday in June here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. We have a Ravelry group for this podcast. That's where you'll find the show notes for this episode and all previous episodes. It is also where you'll find knit-along stuff and giveaway stuff, all kinds of other fun things. So if you're interested in checking that out and you haven't yet, go join the Ravelry group. It's a good place to be. We did have a giveaway that I was hosting these past couple of weeks. And that was for the After the Rain sock kit, which is a collaboration among three really talented people, a designer, a yarn dyer, and a stitch marker maker. And this is what the winner, who I have chosen already, is going to win. So the sock kit includes Once Upon a Corgi yarn, which is dyed by Gabby. And it also includes a Corner of Craft Progress Keeper, which is made by Hannah of the Corner of Craft. And then the sock pattern, which is the After the Rain socks, was a pattern designed by Becky Sorensen, super talented knitwear designer, and they're gorgeous. It is such a cool kit, and I'm so excited for the winner. So the winner for that was chosen from a thread that I opened up a couple of weeks ago, and it was asking you what is inspiring you this spring in your knitting. And there were some awesome answers. Thank you so much to everybody who entered and participated. It was really fun to read through. So the winner for that is post number 18. And post number 18, I'm not going to try to pronounce your Ravelry name because I practiced a couple times and I could not get it. So I'm going to put it right here, but you are Lizanne from the Netherlands, and congratulations, Lizanne, you have won this sock kit. So get in contact with me either on Ravelry, Instagram, or by email. I will get your prize sent out to you, and you can start knitting on some socks if you want to. So congratulations, and thank you so much to everybody who entered. And that is it for that. Go check out those socks. I'm going to link to them in the show notes if you're interested in checking out either the kits or just the pattern itself. It's a really cool sock pattern. So moving on, there is something else I wanted to tell you guys about. There is a publication that's going to be coming out, I think in the fall, by Pip and Pin, who is a designer that I really like. She designed a top that I knit, I think sometime last year, called the Mount Pleasant Tee, and I really love that top. So she's putting out with her sister a publication, and it is called a Pip and Pin, a knitting pattern book. And that's going to be by Megan Nodecker, who is Pip and Pin, and her sister Katie Williams. And they have a Kickstarter going right now to fund the publication. So I just wanted to tell you guys about it in case you were interested in checking it out and supporting them. It's going to be 9 patterns, knitting patterns, and it looks like they're all in like chunky-ish weight yarn, and it's really cool. Everything looks really cozy, and it's going to be coming out in the fall. So I really like the patterns in that book, and if you're interested in checking them out, you should do that. I'm going to leave a link to the Kickstarter page in the show notes. So yeah, congratulations to you guys, Megan and Katie, for putting this thing together. I think it's going to be really cool. So moving on now to what I've been making. First I'll tell you about what I'm wearing. So today I'm wearing my Coco dress, which is a Tilly and the Buttons pattern, and I made this quite a little while ago. It's made with stretch jersey cotton, and I really like this dress. It was really easy to put together. I wear it really regularly these days because I'm pretty big. I'm like 7.5 months pregnant, and these stretch jersey tunic length, like straight up and down just dresses, really work for me right now. I really like, I like the stretch, I like the form fittingness, and I like the longer length of these things. So I've been wearing this a lot lately, and I really love it. And it was a super easy dress to construct. I really enjoyed it. It is making me wish that I had a serger though, because I don't have one now. So I use a zigzag stitch whenever I sew garments with stretch jersey. And that's what I've read many people recommend you to do if you don't have a serger and you're just sewing stretch jersey on a regular sewing machine. This dress in particular has had a few popped seams where that zigzag stitch is, and I'm not sure if it's the technique or if it's me or like how close I cut the fabric to the stitch itself, but I've definitely had some pop seams and they've had to be repaired. And I love this dress so much that I do keep repairing it. But the repairs are a little janky because I repair them with a new zigzag stitch just to patch up the portion that's opened up, and it never quite matches up. So there are little wonky spots on the side seams of this thing, but pretty much all it's made me want to do is get a serger. So I've been fantasizing about serger ownership. Not that I've been sewing a lot lately, but still. Maybe if I had one, I would. I don't know. So anyway, this is a fantastic Tilly and the Buttons pattern. If you're interested in sewing jersey, I would highly recommend it. The Coco dress. Also the Agnes top. It's like my other very favorite jersey pattern, and that's also a Tilly and the Buttons pattern. So I am liking this dress right now a lot, and that's pretty much it for that. So on to my knitting. I have 2 finished objects this week, and I love them both. So the first is a pair of socks. I finished my Mondum socks, and here it is. I love these so much. So this is Mondum yarn, put out by Retro Zaria, and it's colorway 207. They all just have numbers. And I love this colorway so much. It's teals, well, it's like an aqua with pink and brown and gray and like a really grayish purple. I love it. So here's what I have left. And for the first time this year, I made regular length socks. Usually I make, well, this year I've been making like all knee socks. So I've been using up the entire 100-gram skein, but this time I went back to just regular length socks, and I have a ton of yarn left over. So we'll see what I do with this. I love this yarn so much. So again, it's Mondum. Here's the tag. I really, really want everybody to try this sock yarn because it's so amazing. It is 100% Portuguese wool, no nylon in it, which I'm fine with. And it just feels amazing. It feels so good. I love it so much. It feels really great after blocking. It felt great knitting with it. It's stickier, woollier sock yarn, and I adored working with it, and I really love the way it blocked up. It's really wonderful. I really like it. So here is the second one. And this yarn, the way it's dyed up, it does pool. It's not a self-striping yarn. I, luckily enough, with my stitch count, got that kind of like faux micro striping effect that you can get with some variegated yarns, which I was really, really, really happy with. And I did kind of my normal sock recipe, which is 56 stitch cast on for the cuff, top down. I cast on with a German twisted cast on, which I learned from Becky Sorensen from the After the Rain sock kit. And I use a size 1 needle on my socks with fingering weight yarn. I do a 2x2 rib. I like to do a pretty long cuff because that's my preference. And then it's just a straight up vanilla sock. I like to do a heel flap and gusset. That's my very favorite heel. And then my toe is my very favorite rounded toe with the Kitchener finish. And that is where I decrease several points around the entirety of the toe rather than just in 2 spots. And then at the end, I stop before I get to a point and I just cut it off with the Kitchener stitch when I get to, like, I want to say 8 stitches on each needle, something like that. I have notes about that in my Pandora socks, which I will of course link to in the show notes in case you're interested in replicating this toe. So these are my Mondum socks. These are like my, I want to say 3rd or 4th pair of socks for the year. So I'm definitely, I don't think I'm going to accomplish the box of socks goal this year, which is a yearly knit along that Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast hosts, where you try to knit 12 pairs of socks in a year. The past 2 years I've been able to do it, and I've been super impressed with myself, but I kind of doubt it this year. This is like my 4th pair of socks, and I don't have another one cast on yet. Which is super weird, but soon. I don't think I'm in a sock funk. So I don't imagine myself going too long without another pair of socks on the needles, but I just have to pick some lovely yarn that I want to use. So I love these socks. I think everybody should try Mondam yarn because it's really amazing. And it's really reasonably priced too. Even if you're in the States and you get shipping from Retrosaria, which is in Portugal, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But even with shipping overseas, it's really, really reasonably priced sock yarn. You get a 100-gram skein and it's gorgeous. So check it out. My next finished object is a pair of baby leg warmers. So this is some Malabrigo Finito yarn that I had in my stash, and let's see, here is the rest of it. It was, I think, a 50-gram skein or maybe a 25-gram skein. One of the two, I can't remember. But this is how much I have left. It's gorgeous. It's such beautiful yarn. It's 100% super, or actually it's 100% wool. I think it's merino and I think it's superwash, but I could be wrong about that. I forgot. But it's so pretty. It's in the lavanda colorway, and it seriously feels like there's like silk or cashmere in this. It's so soft, and I think that's pretty regular for Malabrigo. Malabrigo, their 100% wool yarns are typically really crazy soft. So this was really, really fantastic to work with. I really liked it. And what I did for these is I cast on 44 stitches using the German twisted cast on. I stuck with the size 1 needle, which is my normal kind of sock needle for fingering weight yarn. Did a 2x2 rib, and then just did some vanilliness for a little while, and then bound off. I bound off using the Stretchy Bind Off by Very Pink Knits. And there's a tutorial for that that I will link to in the show notes. Whenever I bind off in rib, that's typically what I use. So I'm pretty happy with it. I like how it works. I love how this yarn knit up. It's a very tonal purple and gray, and I love it. So these will be for my daughter, who is due in late June. I don't know when they'll fit her because I don't have much of an idea how big baby's legs are. But I kind of just winged it. I figured they'll fit her at some point. If not now, sometime down the road, maybe they'll fit her. But they're just some leg warmers. They were super easy and super quick. I did not use a pattern. I just kind of went with it. And they seem great. I like them, and they're so soft. They're really, really soft. So I love those, and I have another little nugget of leftovers to figure out something to do with. I think I'll add it into my crochet granny stripe blanket, which, yes, I am still working on. I actually did put a little bit of a dent in it a few weeks ago, but I haven't shown it on the podcast in a little while. I'll probably show it. I'll show it next time. How about that? I've been really loving crochet, which you'll see next. So my next project is the Connie's Ray of Hope. I'm moving on to whips now. That's all my finished objects. So Connie's Ray of Hope is a crochet mandala pattern by the Loopy Stich. And this is kind of one of my first real forays into crochet. My only experience in crochet prior to this is my granny stripe crochet blanket, which I love and I'm obsessed with, and I think it's so much fun. I love it. Before that, I've tried to do kind of, I think it's called amigurumi toys here and there. I don't know if you remember, but I tried to do a spider a little while ago. There was this pattern I was really obsessed with. I think it was called the Agnes spider. And that did not work. But I think it might work now because I'm a little more experienced. But I just fell in love with this pattern. I saw it on Ravelry and I had to make it. So this is what I have so far. This is a mandala, which as far as I can tell is just a circular crochet thing with a bunch of different stitches in each row or round. And this particular one is going to be crocheted into a metal hoop and then hung on the wall. I have my metal hoop here. Here it is. It's a 14-inch metal hoop that I bought for this project because it's what this project calls for. Now the project calls for all DK weight yarn with this size hoop. There's also an option to use all Aran weight yarn with a bigger sized hoop, but I went with the DK one, and even a lot of the yarn in this is like sport weight or even fingering weight. So I went DK and smaller, and I think it's too big. I think I need to buy a bigger hoop because I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it, but it kind of fits perfectly into the hoop. And according to all the pictures that I've seen on the internet of other people's projects, it should be like a little smaller than the hoop so that you can stretch it out, and it kind of goes like this when it's attached to the hoop. I don't know. I'll have put a picture up here so you'll have seen what it's kind of supposed to look like. So I think my hoop's too small. I think my thing just came out too big. So I think I'm going to need to buy a bigger hoop. I'm thinking I need to get like a 16-inch hoop. I don't know. But I'll save this for another one because I really enjoyed working on this. So it's not done. The inner part is done. I think I finished clues. I finished clue 1. I think I finished clue 2. And now I just have clue 3 to go. It was a knit-along originally. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, I should say. It's not a download. It links to a blog post where all the instructions are. And I am not going to say it was easy, but I did it. So this is a bunch of different yarn. I got together a whole bag full of different colors that I thought I wanted to use for this. And I pretty much ended up sticking with like only 4 colors. So I've got this deep teal here, which is Yarn Indulgences, and that is what that is. And then I've got my other kind of mainish contrast color is, well, maybe I didn't use that much of it, but it's this lighter teal here, and that's a Madeline Tosh DK, and the colorway of that is Celadon. I really like this. And then I used a lot of whites and pinks. So I've got some Morning Bright yarn, which are these little popcorn things. I've got some Madeline Tosh, which is the white. I've got, so this pink section up here is kind of a gradient that I had left over. It goes from this, it actually goes from a white, which I think is this one here, all the way to this darker pink. And that was a gradient that I had, I think it was Freya yarns that I used a long time ago in an Amba O'Brien shawl. And I had a little bit left over. And what I had done was I had separated it by taking out, because I didn't need the length that I had. So I took out a little bit of the lightest white and a little bit of the next lightest pink and a little bit of the next darkest pink, all the way to the darkest pink. And I had just little balls, so this teeny little gradient set that I used for that. So that kind of goes around in a couple of the rows. And then, yeah, I kind of stuck with like teals and seafoams and pinks and whites on this. And so the next step is to take this inner piece and crochet it to the hoop. And then there'll be a border outside the hoop. You know what I mean? I've been showing you the back. Here's the front. That's the front. So I did block this, and that might account for my size difference from the pattern, because the pattern does not call for blocking. But being a knitter, I can't imagine not blocking something, because it was a little, I don't know, wonky, like all over the place. And I think it did grow a little. I don't think it grew that much, but it did grow a little. But I couldn't not block something. Like, it didn't call for blocking, but it was gonna be an itch in my brain unless I blocked it. So I blocked it, and that might be why it's a little bigger than it's supposed to be. But that's okay. I'm just gonna buy a bigger hook or a bigger hoop, and it'll be a bigger piece. So, like I said, this was kind of hard for me. This was my first time doing almost all of these stitches, and so I had to look everything up. There were instructions in the pattern. Some of them, though, I didn't find to be clear enough for me, for my beginner self. Others, I could swear there were typos. And so I just didn't do what she said to do, and I did what I found on the internet and what the internet told me to do because it worked out better. So, I don't know. It was definitely a little labor intensive, just because I was, every single round in this thing is a different set of stitches, and I had to learn every single one of them brand new from scratch. So I learned a lot about how to crochet making this thing, and it took a long time, but once I got every stitch down, like the first few stitches in every row, I loved it. It was so much fun. This was so much fun to make. It was hard and it was frustrating at times, but the other times it was so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to having this done and moving on to my next crochet project. I actually got a little obsessed with the Ravelry search function and went crochet hunting for patterns that I also want to make, because I seriously was having so much fun crocheting that I think I'm going to go on to do more crochet projects after this one's done. So I actually started a bundle in my favorites for crochet patterns that I'm interested in crocheting. If you're interested, you can check that out on my Ravelry, but I kind of just went through the Ravelry search function for all crochet patterns using the like hot now one or something, and just saved every single one of them I think I might eventually maybe want to make. So it's been really fun fantasizing about crochet. I'm really into it right now. So this is the Connie's Ray of Hope. It's a mandala. I'm going to use it as a wall hanging, and it's gorgeous. I really love it, and I'm really pretty dang proud of myself for doing it because it was not the easiest thing in the world for me. I was crocheting this, I have been crocheting this on a tulip hook, which is a 4mm, and I bought this specifically for this project. So I really, really like these hooks. I have only ever tried these hooks and those like kind of standard aluminum hooks that I think you get from Boy, and these are like a million times better. So I'm really into these hooks. I first learned about these on Michelle Wong's old knitting podcast that she doesn't do anymore, and she used to do these favorite sections, and she introduced me to these, and I have a feeling I'm going to be collecting more slowly with my new crochet obsession. So that's my crochet, and I like it. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. Next up, I have got a shawl. So I've been working on the Ohm shawl, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and this is a knitting pattern, a worsted Aran weight shawl pattern that I've been wanting to make for so long. I finally put together yarn from my stash that I thought would work really, really great with it, and I'm really happy with it so far. So here is what I've got on the needles right now. I love it. I love it so much. So this thing is pretty much a big rectangular wrap. It's going to have buttonholes in like odd placements along the sides so that you're supposed to be able to wear it a whole bunch of different ways. And oh, I just love it so much. So the idea is that it's got these texture panels in different colors. And then it's got this color work section that I'm working on right now. And then it's going to have a big long section of a main color, which in my case is the neutral, and then it's going to have the same color repeats again on the other side. And I really am enjoying this so far. I'm going to show you what yarns I'm using. So that first color that I had is this. And this is some custom mill spun yarn that I received in a swap years ago. And it's Corriedale, and it's gorgeous, and I love it. And I'm so excited I finally get to use it. I think this is the perfect pattern for it. So it's like a worsted weight. It's worsted spun, and it is a Corriedale from a sheep named Violet. I think it's Violet. And it was a fleece from Whitefish Bay Farm. And this is my first color. This is the color I'm kind of alternating with my main color because I didn't have enough of the main color to use. So this is going on the end. And then the next color, which is the pink, is this Studio Donegal, Soft Donegal. And this is their, I think it's colorway H060. I think that's the colorway number. And this is just it's a worsted Aran, really fluffy. I can't tell if it's worsted or woolen spun. I think it might be woolen spun. It's super airy and super fluffy. And it's really, really soft. I think it's merino. I'm not positive. But it's tweedy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got these like pink and teal tweedy flecks in it. And I really, really like this one. The next color is, so the next set of yarns are all from Harrisville Designs. They're all the Highland Worsted base, which is a woolen spun worsted weight base. And this is the first color. This is Wood Smoke, and it's a really, really pretty teal with hints of green in it. The next one is Grass, and this is a nice lime green. And this one's got kind of some hints of teal in it. So those are all my contrasting colors. The next two colors are the colors that I'm going to be using for the main neutral part. And since I didn't have enough of any one, I am going to be alternating skeins. I'm going to be striping these two colors together. And they're both a natural gray. This one's a lot warmer and deeper than this one, but I think they're going to work well together striped. And obviously I have less of this one than I have of this one, so I'm going to do a little finagling with my stripes. This is kind of going to go in the middle. This one's going to go throughout the whole thing, and then on either side of this one, I'm going to add some of this one. You'll see. I got it all figured out. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have enough yarn. This one is Silver Mist. And this one is Suede. So I'm really excited about this shawl so far. I am almost done with the contrasting color sections. So pretty soon I'm going to be going into the main colors. Now I really, really enjoyed the texture sections a lot. I'm in this color work section now, and I'm not really digging it. It's not that fun. I love color work, but I've never done color work flat before, and it's annoying to be doing color work purling back. I don't enjoy it. The part about it that I don't enjoy, I've discovered, I'm a thrower. I'm not a continental knitter. But when I do color work, I use both hands. I throw with one color and I continental knit with the other color. And knitting, that's totally fine. I'm down with it. I like it. I think it's fun. Purling, though, made me realize I do not like purling continentally at all. So I'm purling back, and I'm throwing with one color and purling continental with the other color. And I do not like purling continental. I don't know what it is. I would way rather purl with my right hand than with my left hand. It's just like super uncomfortable and fiddly to me, and I'm sure the more I do it, the more muscle memory I get, the easier it'll become, just like continental knitting became. But oh gosh, I'm not enjoying this section. I cannot wait for it to be over. Like the knitting side is fine, but when I have to purl back, I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna sit down. I don't do it. So color work flat, not the funnest thing in the world. but I like how it's turning out. I think it's really, really good looking. So I just have to get through this part, and then I'm going to be on to some really easy just texture again with the neutral colors. So I am knitting this on the recommended needle size, which is a US 10.5, and that's working really well for me for this worsted to Aran weight yarn. Oh, and it's so squishy. It's really, really woolly and sheepy and wonderful, and I love all of these yarns together. They're so, it's tactilely satisfying. I don't think that makes sense, but you get it. You get it. Here's my Sugar Tots narwhal that is keeping this project company. And here's all my ends. So that's going to have to be dealt with. I'm using my Lucca needles, which I am really enjoying. I really like the Luccas for the big fat needles. They're really nice. So I really like this shawl. I really like this project. There is a fingering weight version of the Ohm shawl, which is called the Yoga shawl, I think, by Andrea Mowry as well. And they're both really gorgeous, and I'm really happy I finally have this thing on the needles because it has been in my queue forever. Okay, that is that. Next up is my Like a Cloud cardigan. I have been obsessing over this thing ever since I first saw it. I think I first saw it on the Grocery Girls because one of them was test knitting it for Johaton Locatelli, who's the pattern designer. And this is a cardigan that was designed by Johaton Locatelli for the Curious Handmade Retreat. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's one of the retreats that Helen Stewart puts on. Country House Retreat, I think it's called, which I would love to go to someday. I've heard so many good things about it. I think it's like a super small retreat, and it sounds like so much fun. But Johaton Locatelli designed this cardigan pattern for that retreat. So it was teased a lot because it was released to the retreat goers before it was released to the public. And so I stalked Johaton Locatelli, and I stalked Helen Stewart, and I stalked Ravelry every day until this thing was released. And the second I saw that it was released, I went and bought it, and I cast on the yarn. I cast on the project. So I'll just show you what I have so far. I've been obsessively working on this thing. I love it. It is so much fun, you guys. Here it is. It looks a little weird on the needles right now just because of the construction. Oh, but I love it. So that's the front. This is the back. And it's this really beautiful texture all over. And it's funny because I'm not usually into the process of knitting all over texture, especially for a whole garment. I'm like, you know, I don't know. Knit purl texture typically to me doesn't ever seem like that much fun, but it seems like right now it's like what I'm doing. Like the Ohm shawl is like all texture, knit and purl texture. This is like all knit and purl texture, and I'm finding it to be super fun. Go figure. So the yarn that I'm using for this is 2 lace weight yarns held together, which is what the pattern calls for. The pattern calls for, I think, an alpaca wool blend lace weight held together with a mohair silk blend lace weight. And I am using yarn from Stash. So what I have come up with is these two. Oh, I love them so much together, you guys. So this is Madeline Tosh lace, and it's 100% merino 2-ply. And this is in the Gossamer colorway, which is like my very favorite colorway that Madeline Tosh dyes. I love it. And this one is Rowan Fine Lace, which is an alpaca wool blend. I think it's mostly alpaca and just a little bit of wool. This is also a 2-ply, and this is in the Antique colorway. This is like my favorite color of all time. I love it. These are my 2 favorite colors of all time, I think, and I'm putting them together into one marl. So excited about it. So the alpaca is definitely very halo-y and very floofy and does produce a lot of flyaways. I am getting through it. You guys know I'm a super wimp about that, but I am, even through that, even through all the flyaways that I get when I'm knitting this thing, I'm still literally obsessively knitting on it. It's like all I've been working on because I love it so much. So I have a tiny bit less yarn than what is called for in the pattern, but I do know that I can get both of these yarns in these colorways on D-stashes on Ravelry that I have seen recently. So if I get to the point where I run out of yarn, I'm just gonna buy more off D-stashes. And I am gonna be okay with the fact that the color lots don't match because they don't, because I've checked. And that doesn't really bother me that much. I really love working on this. I love the construction. It's an open front, long length, drop shoulder cardigan, which is kind of my ideal. I love all of those elements in a cardigan. And it's like, it's slim, it's form-fitting, and it's long. I just really, really love it. So this is how the yarn's working up together. And I just love the color it's producing. It's so pretty. I like these really subtle marls with two colors that are kind of in the same, I don't know the technical color terms, value range? You know what I mean. So I've so far done the back, which is this piece. And then I've done both front pieces and I've joined them all together in the round. And so now I'm just working these really long rows back and forth and back and forth. And what I really like about this texture pattern and what I think is kind of keeping me going on it is that it's all knits and purls. That's the texture. But there are rest rows. There are rows that are just all knit or all purl. And I love those rows. So I knit this thing for those rows. I just want to get to them and it keeps me going and I really like it. I did swatch and I got pretty good gauge. I am using the recommended needle size, which is a size 4. I'm also using my Lick needles again because I'm pretty into that set right now. I really like them. And I really love it. I really like how these two yarns are working up together in terms of drape and weight. It is really nice and it is really airy and light and soft. And yeah, I love it. I have tried it on kind of the way it is and it fits pretty good. So the shoulders do seem a little wide, but the idea is that they go down to about here and then I'll pick up stitches down here and just knit straight tubes for the arms. So it's that drop shoulder construction, which I just really, really like. I've knit one sweater in the past with a drop shoulder construction and I love it. Now the cool thing about this cardigan too is that it's not going to have any finishing to the, like what would be a button band. It's just the raw edges. So there's no finishing after it's done. Once you're finished with it, you're finished with it. And I really like the back neckline. So that's the back neck and that goes, you know, like this, but behind. And I like that it's got that little V right there. I think that's going to make me really happy. So this is the Like a Cloud cardigan by Johi Locatelli, and I have been waiting for this pattern to come out. I am excited to have finally been able to cast it on, and I've been just flying on it because I love it so much. It's so fun in it. And I love these two yarns together. I'm so happy they've gotten freed from my stash. So check that out if you haven't yet. It's a really, really cool pattern. And it is living in a Fat Squirrel Fibers project bag. That kind of matches. My next project that I've been working on, well, kind of, is living. I ran out of project bags because I'm working on so many big things right now, including a couple things that I haven't shown you because I haven't touched them in the past couple weeks, that I ran out of project bags that would fit it, so I'm using an old purse, which kind of made me sad. It kind of made me think I needed to buy a new project bag, but then I was like, but this is a purse. It's a pusheen purse that I use sometimes, and I'm not using it right now, so I'm using it as a project bag. It's just a tote bag. But this next project is a swatch so far. It is another sweater. This will be my third sweater on the needles right now. I don't know what's happening. But I swatched in some Brooklyn Tweed Corey. Now this is the yarn that I got for my birthday. It was my birthday last week, and my husband bought me a sweater's quantity of Brooklyn Tweed Quarry. And if you remember, I was really struggling to pick a colorway, and I picked the granite, you guys. I went boring, safe, typical gray me. I love it, I don't care. So this is the yarn I got. And I got, I think, 1, 2, 3, I got 5 skeins for my birthday. And I really like it. So this is Brooklyn Tweed Quarry. It's their bulky weight yarn. It's a 2-ply, but it's a really loosely plied yarn. And it feels amazing. I love it. It's 100% Columbia yarn, Columbia wool, I think. No, it's not. It's American Targhee and Columbia wool. And yeah, I'm really happy with the color I went with. I love gray. I love wearing gray, so that's what I went with. This is the first cake that I have made, and I really enjoyed how it knit up. And okay, so this is the swatch that I made for the Ambrosia cardigan, and this is a cardigan by Gudrun Johnston. It's a really, really great, again, kind of open front. No, it has toggle buttons, I think. It's, okay, forget I said that. It's a really great cardigan. It's got a hood. It's got a really cool cabled yoke, and it's made, it calls for chunky weight yarn, or bulky weight yarn. I almost got the yarn that that pattern actually calls for, which is the Quince & Co. bulky weight yarn, but I decided I wanted this instead. And I loved knitting with it. It's really fluffy, it's really soft. It's like really soft. It's way softer than their other yarns that I've knit with, which I love. But this one's just like super, it's like cloudy soft. And it was awesome. I got perfect gauge according to the pattern. And so I have not cast on yet, but I will be casting it on very soon. Oh, it's a 3-ply. See, check this out. It's so loosely plied that my tail here, after blocking and everything, just came apart. So those are the 3-plies. And they're just really loosely kind of alongside each other. They're twisted, but they're really lightly twisted. And the fabric's really, really nice. I like it. I think it's going to make a really great cardigan. So that's the Ambrosia cardigan by Gudrun Johnston. I've wanted to knit this thing ever since I saw Susan B. Anderson and Isabella Fluffy Fibers knit one quite a little while ago. And I've never had bulky weight yarn in my stash. So I always knew I just had to buy it. And that's what I got for my birthday this year. So I spent my birthday swatching. It was super fun. So that's going to be coming up on the needles very soon. And hopefully it'll be going off my needles very soon too, because it's bulky and that should knit up super quick, right? So that is everything I've been working on. I really like my projects this week. It's all texture and crochet. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm usually a vanilla girl. Everything's vanilla, everything's stockinette. But we're going in a different direction this summer, I guess. So just a little bit about the shop. I am the dyer behind Moonstone Dyeworks, which is my hand-dyed yarn company on Etsy. You can get there through moonstondyeworks.com. And right now I am having something going on where I'm just doing pre-orders for a little while. I am pretty soon going to close those pre-orders. I'm thinking in about a week I'm going to close them. And after I dye all of my pre-orders that I get, I am going to be taking a break from maternity leave. I don't know how long yet I'll be taking a break for, but I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop. But until then, as of today, which is Friday, June 8th, I'm going to leave those pre-orders open for about another week. And after I get all those orders out, there's going to be a break. So if you want anything from the Moonstone Dyeworks shop, check it out now. You have about another week to place your orders. Thank you so much to everybody who has already placed an order. I really appreciate it so much. The first round of pre-orders have been shipped out, so I hope you've gotten them and I hope you like them. And what is pretty much happening is I've got almost all of my regular colorways up in the shop right now as pre-orders. So you can order the quantity you want on the base that you want of whatever colorway you want. That is listed. So check that out if you're interested. You have about another week before that gets kind of shut down for a little while. And yeah, thanks again to everybody who has supported me in this Moonstone Dyeworks endeavor. And I hope to see you there soon as well. Moving on to favorites. I did make one what I called birthday purchase. Lost and Fond, who is a bag maker and stitch marker maker on Etsy, had a shop update recently, and this one stitch marker that she made just pulled me in so hard. And then of course I fell in love with a couple more while I was there. So I made a little stitch marker purchase, and this is what I got. So the one that really, and well, this is her logo. I'll show you first. Lost and Fond on Etsy. This moon, it's a pink crescent moon with a cat sitting on it. I like had to have it like so hard. So that's what I went to buy. Isn't that the best stitch marker ever? I love it. And while I was there, I saw this super cool one. It's this green ball of something with a little gold ring around it. And this is a heart. It's a little blue like enamel heart. So I picked those up from her shop last week and I love them. So I can't wait to throw these on my projects. I'm pretty sure this cat one's gonna get put on something like straight away. So that's what I bought. And let's see, other favorites. It was my birthday last week. It was awesome. I took the day off of work. My birthday was on a Thursday. So I took the day off of work and I stayed home and I knit all day and I watched knitting podcasts all day and I read. And then at night I went out to dinner with my husband. He took me to my favorite restaurant locally, which is called Brick and Fire. And it's a really great restaurant. It's one of the only it's the only like non-takeout place locally that I really think is worth it. That I really genuinely think makes really good food. And I'm a super food snob. So I love this place. They have a big giant brick wood-fired oven that they cook a lot of their things in there. And it's such a cool place. And so we went there. It was really fun. I had escargot for the first time. They had escargot as a special on their specials menu, and we got it because we've never tried snails before, and we figured, what the heck, like there's snails on the menu, we're gonna try them. And they were pretty good. I don't know if you've ever tried them, but pretty much how we felt about them, my area is really big into oysters. We grow oysters here. We're one of the largest producers of oysters on the West Coast, if not even broader than that. But we really like oysters in this town, and I really like oysters. But I really like raw oysters. I don't like them cooked. And there's kind of cooked oysters, like grilled oysters, and others, shellfishes, clams, things like that, mussels, kind of all have this very similar structure, texture, taste profile to them. We thought that the snails were like on that level, but by land instead of by sea. So I'm describing it really badly. But pretty much we thought of snails as earthy, mushroomy versions of grilled oysters, which is amazing. It's not my favorite sort of thing. I'm not huge into cooked shellfish. Like I said, I really like raw oysters. But so I liked them, and it was really interesting that was kind of our comparison. And it makes sense because both snails and like undersea shellfish things are, I'm pretty sure, both just mollusks. So they're like kind of related. But it tasted really similar to that whole realm of food. And they were really good. My husband liked them a lot more than I did. And like I said, I liked them, but I don't think they're like my favorite food in the whole world. But so that was really, really cool to be able to try escargot for the first time. And we got a bunch of appetizers. We're appetizer people. They had a lot of really good appetizers. And then we split a main course, which was a rabbit stew with locally foraged morel mushrooms. It was amazing. I really like rabbit. It was really good. And it was a really, really good stew. So that was a really, really great experience. I love dining out, and we don't do it that often. And it was fun. So that was pretty much my birthday, and it was amazing. It was my favorite thing to do for my birthday. Stay home all day by myself knitting, and then get taken out to eat at night. And I have, so I finished the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. If you remember me mentioning a little while ago, I'm reading the whole series again. I have before. And I read The Hobbit. I finished it. I read the first Lord of the Rings book. I finished it. Amazing, of course, again. And I'm taking a little break in between the first and the second book to read the most recent Sarah J. Maas book from the Court of Thorns and Roses series, which is a novella called A Court of Frost and Starlight, I think. And I love it so far. It's written in a different style than all the other books, and I really enjoy it. It's written from like a multi-person perspective, and I am really enjoying it so far. I'm not quite halfway through, so I still have a little ways to go, but I am loving it, and I'm super excited that she put out this novella. And okay, the last thing in favorites I'm going to talk about, because of course I'm going to talk about it. Did you guys see The Knitter on Jeopardy? I really like Jeopardy, and it's only been pretty recently that I've been able to actually watch it, because I've never had television until pretty recently. We bought a digital antenna, which gets us like some local channels, and it's super fun. We get PBS. But we get to watch Jeopardy sometimes now, and this woman on Jeopardy last week was wearing a shawl. And the first thing I said to Colin, my husband, was like, that's a knitter. She knit that shawl. That's a hand knit shawl. And so, whatever. She didn't like talk about it or anything, but after the episode was over, I was like, I wonder what pattern that is. I don't recognize it. So the next morning, of course, I go onto Ravelry, and that pattern is like number 2 in the hot right now, Ravelry thing, the browser. And so I clicked on it and I read the comments. And of course, in the comments, there were a few people who were like, this was the shawl that was on Jeopardy last night. So that was really exciting. I don't remember the name of the pattern, but I'll put the information here. But she was wearing that shawl on Jeopardy that night. And then she won. And then the next night, when they do the little introductions where they talk to Alex Trebek about something random in their lives, she talked about the Rose City yarn crawl and how she took part in it. And I remembered that pattern was written for the Rose City Yarn Crawl. So we got represented on Jeopardy, you guys. I was so proud. And I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. And I told Colin, she just made so many knitters happy right now. It was really exciting hearing about it. Even if it was just for a tiny snippet on TV. Anyway. That was really exciting. And I think that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Jeopardy. Maybe they'll start doing some knitting or fiber related clues. Whatever. Okay, so I hope you guys are having a really great spring so far. It is almost summer. The solstice is almost here, which is my favorite. I love the solstices and I love the equinoxes. My very favorite of all of them is the summer solstice. My 5-year wedding anniversary is the day after the summer solstice, which is when we got married. If the world had been a perfect place, we'd have gotten married on the solstice. because it's my favorite. It's not a holiday, obviously, but out of all the holidays and yearly celebrations of the year, the summer solstice and Labor Day are my two favorites. So summer solstice is coming up. I'm super excited. It's the longest day of the year. And then after that, it's going to be summer. So I hope you guys are having a good late spring. I hope you're eating lots of good food. And I hope you are knitting and crocheting and spinning and sewing, lots of good things. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did and you feel like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Join the Ravelry group. Go check out what's over there. We've got some fun stuff happening. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have fun and stay awesome. Bye.